So this section is 3.7. Okay, it's linear regression. It's plus, so linear regression. This part is not in your book, so this video should be really helpful if you miss class for some reason. If you go to your homework online, and I'm going to pull up the homework, so here's the problem that you're going to have to come up with your own linear regression equation. And so let's read this. It says the annual expenditures per residential phone service decreased for the years of 2000 and 2004. And the table below shows the annual average expenditures per customer unit. So let's let X represent the number of years since 2000. This is Q. This is very important here. They want you to use linear regression to fit a line to the data. So you need to copy this data down. Okay, that's the first thing you want to do is copy it down, and then you're going to type in the equation once you do Desmos. So I would go to Desmos. So I'm going to do that. So here's my Desmos software. You can get this online free at desmos.com. Pick the graphing calculator. That's the best. And so the first step to putting the data in is to go to this plus sign. When you go to the plus sign, you then pick the table. So I pick the table, and now I start typing in the data. Now it said since 2000, so I'm going to make 2000 represent my 0 year. So because that's my start year, so I'm going to say 0 and enter in the 540 for the Y. 2001 will be 1, and then that'll be 520. Okay, then it's 2 for 2002, and that'll be 502. And then for 2003, I put in a 3, and move over to 492. And then for 4, I do, for 2004 would be, and then I put in the Y for 282. So here's my data entered in to the Desmos software. Now over here to the left is this really cool zoom fit to your data. So it immediately will fit your data right on the graph, and that's pretty nice. And now we want to come up with the equation. Since this looks pretty linear, like the data almost looks like a straight line, we're going to use the slope-intercept form equation. So to do that, you go over to where it says the 2 and click there, and you're going to type in, since this says Y1, we're going to type in Y1. So for the keypad, we type Y and then a 1. And then instead of an equal sign, we're going to use the tilde, which is the shift and tilde, which is right next to the number 1 on your keypad, or it's right above your tab, but it looks like a little squiggly sign. That's what you use instead of an equal sign. Then you type in slope, which will be your M, then X, and since it's X1, you have to type in a 1. It's telling the computer where to find the data. Then we hit plus the B. So here's my slope-intercept equation here, and it's telling me right away, I'll close this so we can see it. It tells me the slope, so I'm going to write down my slope, so I need that. So I'm going to write down my slope is negative 14.4. My y-intercept is 536. So now I can go back to my homework and pull that up. So I'm going to find that. Here it is. And I'm going to type it in. So I'm going to type in negative 14.4 x, and then it's plus the b, which was 536. So there's my equation. I can't check. And it says well done, so I got that right. Then it says the amount of expenditure is decreasing at a rate. Well, they're asking for you to choose which one of these two numbers is the rate. Well, rate represents the slope, so we're going to put in 14.4. And since they already said decreasing, I don't need to put that in. I don't need to put in the negative sign. Okay, and then I go to expected amount of expenditures in the year 2017. Well, I have to write that down. So 2017, which is really going to be 17 instead of the year. So I'm going to go back to my Desmos, which is here. No, not Desmos. Here it is. There's the Desmos. And I'm going to type in my equation now that I had. So I'm going to type in y equals this time. My slope would be negative 14.4, and that's an x. And then plus the 546. And so here is my equation, and for some reason it's not matching exactly my data. So we'll see if this, okay, that's what they told me to type in. It did work. So it's slightly off from what the linear regression came up with. So I'm just checking. Oh, I did make a mistake. It's supposed to be 36, not 46. There we go. That's better. So that's why it wasn't matching. Alright, so now that I have my equation in there, I can go up to this wheel and put in a data point. And so I can type in the 2017, which would just be 17. And so now I know my y value would be 291.2. So I can go back to my homework. And so my homework, if I find my cursor here, is here. It says round to the nearest cent as needed. So I'm just going to leave it as is and see if it gets upset with me. So there it is. I hit check, and it's good. So here I have done it. I've come up with the linear regression. I have shown what the rate or the slope means, and I've also did a prediction of 2017. Notice the thing that's different is I don't type in these x values because of the fact they said let x represent the number of years since 2000. So when they say it that way, that means you must represent 2000 as your start number, which would be 0. And that's pretty much how you do that for this particular lesson. So most of these are pretty tricky. You just have to keep watching and taking close steps. There's not that many problems to do in this homework, so it should be an easy assignment to get done through. But don't let it wait till the last second, though, because you don't want that. And that is the end.